Is sauerkraut good for you? Short answer, no. In my research, it is not. So I'll give you a little bit of history. I used to really be into fermented foods. I had a business in Vancouver. I was the kombucha man like about 10 years ago. It was like before a lot, it wasn't anything like what it is today. And it seemed like it was this great thing, it was all these like beneficial, benefits to drinking it and all that kind of stuff. And, on the surface level, it seemed really good. I ended up walking another path, writing a book instead of continuing with the business because I just decided that wasn't why I was here on earth, was to run a business like that. And so I stopped, but at the time, it was like very healthy, natural foods. There was certainly sprouting and teas because it was a part of the kombucha, but then also sauerkraut as like living food, live food, and because there's all these like microorganisms, bacteria, and stuff that are in that stuff. And so this was something that I touted for a period of time. I thought that it was really good. I was also in my process and my transition of learning about how to cleanse my body mentally and physically and emotionally, and just like really, so I was dealing with certain things, and I guess this was a part of it. You learn about these things about healthy eating, and it's like, okay, well, maybe this is good, maybe this is good, and it kind of, it made sense for a long time. Anyways, fast forward, I did enough research eventually where, what it seems like is that there's no science to back it up. So there's a lot of people that will claim that sauerkraut has all of these benefits to it. And, some of what there might be some truth to some of what they're saying, but it's like just that, like, yeah, there's organisms, but it's like a little jar of preserved vegetables. If we're the monkey that I think we are, you're supposed to be eating fruit straight off the vine in your hand, fresh, organic. I mean, nowhere in that, like a little thing of preserved cabbage, with spices in it. It's just like that's not at all it. And so when I stopped eating it, I noticed my health get way better. And so one of the things is that, so like some people will say that it makes them feel better. And so what, as I understand it, what it does is it will give you a mild case of diarrhea because you're literally eating like a little rotten, so it's not rotten, but it's like preserved vegetables in a jar. I mean, it's like some, fresh fruit, okay, and then little jar of stuff that's lasting a long time because it's under these conditions, and it's just like, no, absolutely not. And like so what else, what was it, like when I would go down to South America, I would stop with all the fermented things, and my health would get better. Of course, down there you're not fighting the cold, and you got the sun and fresher fruits and veg and stuff like that. So like there are a variety of factors which contribute to that. But and so it's why it was very difficult, because like you have this idea in your mind that this stuff is good for you, that kombucha is good for you, and that that your body wants more. Like, so it's like, so you're introducing all of this bacteria and yeast. It's like, if fruit is our food, you don't need to be taking in condensed forms of bacteria and yeast and eating all this stuff. Like, your flora and your gut, it takes care of itself if you just eat the right foods. You don't need to like supplement, you don't need to augment, you don't need to like control and manipulate and like think, because this is just all the ego trying to control and whatnot. So yeah, I mean it. And so like if you eat this stuff and say you're constipated, then it will help flush stuff through your system, and then you will feel better. But it's like, maybe as a remedy for constipation, okay. You know, this is something that was like, you know, this is the thing. It's like it's a tradition that like people made this stuff, and it was during a time when it was had some relevance. But like I think that time has passed, and it's like with any tradition, you know, something that happens over time, and you gotta at some point stop and look at it and be like, hold on a second. Like there's a thing about, it's like a whole story about the woman who so I don't like this example, but she like cuts the ends off the ham every time she's making a ham. And then her husband's like, why do you do that? And she's like, I don't know. I mean, we just, that's how it's done. It always turns out good. So he asks, asks the grandma, be like, you know, asks her mom, why'd you do that? That's how grandma did it. And ask grandma why, was because the pan was too small. You know, like some things we do out of necessity, thinking that they're a good idea, and you know, it might serve some purpose for a period of time. You know, is that better than starving? Maybe, I don't know. But you know, you got to question things, and it's like, yeah, you know, like I said, I used to have a business where I sold these things, and I had write-ups, and I would, you know, really, I was, you know, I believed in it, but I learned otherwise. And so, you know, now I don't eat anything that has vinegar in it. You know, that's the part of the problem with these two things, aside from everything else I mentioned, is that there's this vinegar. Vinegar is like, you know, natural cleaning products is you clean the floor with. It kills like bacteria and stuff like that. It's not good for you, vinegar. You know, I would never recommend taking apple cider shots or even putting vinegar in a salad dressing of any kind. I gave all of mine away. And I'm doing great. I mean, my health has like turned around since I've like stopped with some of these things that I thought made sense because I really didn't look into them deep enough. And then I had them explained by the right teacher in the right way, simply, and it was just like, oh wow, interesting. And then you try it for yourself, and you know, you see for yourself, you see what works for you. Yeah, so yeah, the vinegar thing, you know, like it's yeah, cleaning. You know, you have microorganisms in you. So, I mean, and you know what you use instead is just like lemon, lime, oranges, you know, that kind of stuff. A natural juice, you know, from a fruit. If you want that tartness, there's no need to drink or to put in your body the leftover liquid of something that has gone off, you know, which is like, yeah, that is like, you know, if you ate a piece of fruit that was fermented, you'd spit it out instantly because it's terrible. But it's funny how like we will control this process, and then like, and then flavor it, and then call it something and eat it in small amounts, and it's like it's good for you, but it's like it's not. So that's my 2 cents about yeah, vinegars and anything that has vinegar in it. And not saying that everything that is cultured is, you know, I'm not sure about things like tempeh. I haven't gone back there just because of how you have to prepare it. It's like, you know, I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to fry things anymore. It's just, it's honestly beyond my palate. My palate has changed. I prefer other things, and so that is what I focus on. Yeah. So, bon appetit. Buen provecho.